Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I will be discussing everything that I read and loved in the month of December. So a lot happened obviously with Christmas, but these are the books that I read in the month of December. Not as large as I would like it to be, but also the hankering to want to listen to Christmas music and the fact that I started watching Breaking Bad was pretty much all I wanted to do in the month of December, so I'm okay with this, okay? The first thing that I finished in the month of December was Crooked Kingdom. I enjoyed Crooked Kingdom a touch more than Six of Crows, but I believe it was a very successful series for me. I'm sure everybody knows what the premise of this is. If you want to know my full in-depth thoughts, I go crazy in-depth in my Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom review. I will link it down below. But I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the characters. I enjoy how it ended. I'm happy that it was a duology. And if you haven't picked up Six of Crows or Crooked Kingdom, you should. I quite enjoyed it. I would recommend it to friends, and I recommend it to you. The next book that I got into, it came in our November Owlcrate, so it kind of inspired me. It also came with Heartless, and that was the main premise of why I read this. But really it works hand in hand with another book that I finished. But first we'll talk about Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and then I also got the audiobook for Through the Looking Glass as well, because I thought once I'm down that rabbit hole, if you know what I'm saying. I kind of looked into Lewis Carroll himself. He was a mathematician. Really, I thought it was interesting of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass that Alice's Adventures of Wonderland was written first. It was about Alice as a young child. She's sitting there, she sees the rabbit, she goes down the rabbit hole, and the story just starts very quickly. She's trying to create logic in an illogical world, whereas Through the Looking Glass, she is a little bit older. I think he wanted her to be more of an older child or young adult in Through the Looking Glass, and it's actually a logical world that she now needs to think illogically. So it's interesting learning the backstory of these, and I think it made it more in-depth for me. I found it interesting that the Disney movie, Alice in Wonderland, was a perfect morph between the two books. And there are some of my favorite scenes in the movie that are in here, and then some of my favorite scenes in Through the Looking Glass. And I think one of my favorite scenes in the Disney movie is the unbirthday scene where they're celebrating the unbirthday. I always found that one of my favorite scenes. And it didn't actually pan out in Through the Looking Glass. It's more of Humpty Dumpty telling her about an unbirthday, so I was kind of missing that scene. So I do think the Disney movie is still one of my favorites because it morphs both of those stories together so nicely. I was reading it in preparation for Heartless, but then I went ahead and picked up the audiobook of Holly Madison, Down the Rabbit Hole, Curious Adventures and Cautionary Tales from a Former Playboy Bunny. At the beginning of each chapter, she will have a quote from Alice in Wonderland, and I think it worked perfectly with this theme. So I'm going to read the back because I feel like it summed it up pretty perfectly. At 21, the small town Holly became Holly Madison. She became Hugh Hefner's #1 girlfriend, and like Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Holly plunges down the rabbit hole, took her into a world where all is not what it seemed, a fairy tale life inside the Playboy Mansion, which included full A-list celebrity parties and starring in a #1 television show, quickly developed into an oppressive routine of strict rules, manipulation, and battles with ambitious, backstabbing bunnies that nearly drove Holly to take her own life. Down the Rabbit Hole is an introspective account of her time inside the mansion with drugs, abuse, all these infamous parties, and Holly's real behind-the-scenes life with Bridget, Kendra, and Mr. Playboy himself, Hugh Hefner. And it also chronicles her healing and hope by telling her story both as a cautionary tale and a celebration of personal empowerment. Holly reminds us of the importance of fighting for our own dreams and fighting for the life that we deserve. And I think that blurb in the back summarizes how this made me feel. People might say this and be like, oh, they're Playboy, they put it upon themselves, they could leave at any moment. He also wanted the appearance of him being this perfect gentleman, that he treated his women with respect, and you know, I think that this showcased exactly how I really think that he is deep down. He would create a lot of drama in the household in order to keep the women fighting over him, and I just think that that's very manipulative, and he would make it to where they wouldn't really make any money. He would lease all the cars, so if they wanted to leave, they left with nothing. It showcases emotional abuse very well and how long it takes to recover from that emotional abuse. Just because it's not physical doesn't mean that emotional abuse is any any less. If you've been curious about this book at all, I recommend you picking it up and getting the audiobook. Her audiobook is wonderful in this too. I loved it so much that I wanted a hard copy. And I know she has a second book. I think it's the Vegas Diaries, and I will be picking that up as well. Look how pretty. I think she would love that. In between those books, I decided to pick up a graphic novel. I've heard nothing but good things of this. But pretty much this is This One Summer by Julian Tamake and Mariko Tamake, who are cousins. I quite enjoyed this. Not only is it really gorgeous to look at, the violet and white is stunning, and violet is one of my favorite colors. It's very easy to look at, and basically it's about two families that always take a family vacation to the same spots every summer. So it's two girls that always reunite every summer. This summer for them is very different. The characters, their parents are going through marriage problems and they're fighting a lot. So she is having to grow up a little bit in order to understand why they're fighting so much. And so she is having to be faced with two parents that may not continue after this summer. And then also in town, they come across some teenagers that say some very inappropriate things that are kind of beyond their understanding, and they're kind of faced with a lot of adult themes. I also feel like they were too young, and I wish I was there to protect them. I just really enjoyed it. Not only was it stunning, the storyline was really strong. So those were the books that I finished in December. I know it wasn't a huge list, but since Breaking Bad happened, and of course all I wanted to do was listen to Christmas music when I was in the car. I did read about a good chunk of Illuminae. I'm still not complete with it. So far I'm not fully enthralled, but I will probably finish this at some point, but I'm not grabbing to finish it, so I hope maybe I can get back into this pretty soon. Then I also read about 60 to 70 pages of Night Circus, and I don't think it was just hitting me at the right time. I think I was just wanting to get into the Christmas spirit and starting to listen to music and such. But this is definitely a book that I do not want to neglect, and I want to get to it. I just think I want it to hit me at the right time. And I do also want to mention I did try to do a December TBR. I don't know as of right now if TBRs will work for me. I wake up some days and then I'm in the mood for a self-help book, or sometimes I'm in the mood for a fantasy, and I want to be put into a box. But speaking of being forced to read a book, this is my book jar, and I mentioned in my last video and videos before about my book jar, pretty much I put all of my book list in this jar, and it is the time. This is the one book that I will read in January. The reason why I do this cup is because there's a lot of books in here that won't be easy reads. There are some fun books in here, but then there are some serious books that I would love to read, but it's not one of those like real excited to read kind of books. But wish me luck. This book that I just pulled out, I feel like is the reason why I created this in the first place, because there are books that I really want to read, but I know will be hard to listen to and or read. And so I got In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park, which is a book that I have been wanting to read for a long time. It's about sex trafficking and trying to escape North Korea, and compared to all these these fantasy and love stories. And those are the ones that I want to gravitate towards, but these are the ones that I know will more so change my life. In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park is a book that I will be reading in January. So you better hold me to it. In this section, I will be talking about some of my favorite things that happened in December. This sounds silly, but I got Scentsy for the first time. So I have 2 warmers, and one of my friends sells Scentsy, and I'll have her link down below if you want someone to buy from. I still love candles, but I use candles for special occasions or when friends come over just for ambiance. But really, Scentsy has been great because I can just turn it on all day, and if I forgot to turn it off, it doesn't get that hot. The scents that I have really loved, I've gotten a lot of different scents, but the apple s'more is definitely one of my favorites. I had a live tree in my living room, but this just enhanced it. So I got winter pine, and then cinnamon vanilla because it just smells like a cinnamon roll. So those are my 3 favorite scents that I had this month and I used, and I will probably reorder these before they go away for the season. I also played the game Planet Coaster a lot this month. If you loved Roller Coaster Tycoon growing up, these are some of the same creators as Roller Coaster Tycoon, and of course Roller Coaster Tycoon World was just miserable to watch it crash and burn, but Planet Coaster definitely picks up where that didn't happen. And the only gripe I have is that you can almost do too much. Some of the theme parks that I've created are just beautiful, and you can see in the eyes of your guests, and you can really see your park from every angle. You can ride all of your rides. Such a great game. If you haven't picked it up, I think it's like 40 bucks or something in Steam. It's totally worth it if you love Roller Coaster Tycoon style games. 2 shows that I really loved in December that wrapped up. I mean, Westworld. Westworld was freaking amazing. So good. If you haven't watched it yet, do it. HBO Now is like, what, like $14? It's so worth it. And then This Is Us, which I watched on Hulu. I just love how diverse it is, and it's, you know, brings up different topics that normal, you know, sitcoms don't bring up. And Mandy Moore, I love Mandy Moore. This Is Us, I also recommend. Loved it. 2 movies that I saw this month. I mean, duh. Fantastic Beasts and Rogue One. Freaking amazing. I mean, I feel like the only time I go to the movie theater is for Star Wars or Harry Potter. And I got both of those this month. Was Fantastic Beasts in November? I don't know. I don't care. Saw them both twice. I watched A New Hope before I saw Rogue One the second time. Just everything that I wanted, and I'm so happy they're making more Star Wars films as well. Speaking of my bro, he knows me so well. You know, we're adults, but when are you below Legos, you know? But my brother got me an AT-ST walker. So when I get into my new apartment, and he will be gracing my bookshelf. So thanks, bro. Legos are life. I got a Clarisonic this month. This is all I will say. It's freaking amazing. I don't know why I haven't had one before now. I just love it. If you want to know about the Clarisonic and why I love it so much, it'll take a whole video of how much I love this thing. So I won't do that to you. And lastly, my boyfriend knocked it out of the park this Christmas with some gifts. First off, he got me this print, which you probably won't be able to see because of the glare, but it is a Harry Potter print. You have your mer people. It has tons of little aspects to it. So obviously Hogwarts, and then you have your Patronus here, your little Quidditch stadium. It's just beautiful. And I love that it's not hit you over the head Harry Potter. He also got me an espresso machine, and I love it. And I have certain coffees that I love, and I've already ordered it. And he got me the milk frother. Like, he just, like, hit it out of the park. I don't. So his birthday and my birthday are this month, and I'm really going crazy for his birthday because I just feel like I just didn't do as well as he did for Christmas. He also got me a really nice Kendra Scott necklace. He's just a good one. So December, of course, was Christmas, and I enjoyed hanging out with my family, and then New Year's was very fun, and I hope that you guys also had a wonderful holiday season and a wonderful new year. Thank you guys so much for embracing me in 2016. I'm so happy I started my channel. I've really enjoyed being a part of this community, and I hope to see more of you guys in 2017. I hope you guys have a wonderful first week of the year. Thank you for watching.